Have you ever dropped by a friend or family member's home with the best intentions, only to walk away feeling unsure if you may have overstepped? Maybe you've even wondered if your well-meaning visits could be causing unintended tension. As we get older, especially past 60, it becomes even more important to consider how, when, and why we visit others. What seems like a friendly gesture on the surface can sometimes create discomfort or even strain relationships in ways we might not expect. Without realizing it, our visits could disrupt someone's routine, add unneeded stress, or make them feel obligated when they aren't in the right headspace for company. This is why it's important to be mindful of the people we visit and to ensure that we're maintaining strong, positive relationships without unknowingly stepping over boundaries. In this video, we'll discuss certain situations where visiting others might not always be the best idea. What seems like a casual visit to us may not be as welcome to the person on the other side. By understanding when it's appropriate to visit and when it's better to hold back, we can strengthen our relationships and show genuine care in a way that respects everyone's needs. Stay with me, and by the end of this discussion, you will have valuable insights on how to maintain meaningful connections without causing unintentional stress. Before we continue, I'd love it if you could support this channel by liking this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so and turning on notifications so you don't miss future content. If you enjoy this discussion, comment 1 below, and if you think there's room for improvement, comment 0 so I can create even better videos for you. Now, let's get started. One of the most important things to remember as we grow older is the significance of respecting personal space. Friendships and connections thrive when there's a balance between closeness and independence. Just because you've shared years of wonderful memories with someone doesn't mean they're always available or in the right mood to entertain company. Sometimes, even the best of friends need their own space to breathe, reflect, and go about their lives without unexpected interruptions. A common mistake we make is assuming that a long-standing friendship means we can show up at a friend's house unannounced. While it might feel like a small and harmless gesture, dropping by without warning can unintentionally disrupt their day. No matter how close you are, everyone has their own responsibilities, emotions, and personal routines. What seems like a spontaneous act of kindness from your perspective might feel like an intrusion from theirs. Imagine this: you're deep in thought, working on something important, or simply enjoying a peaceful moment alone when suddenly the doorbell rings. A good friend is standing at your doorstep, eager to catch up. While you care for them deeply, you might not be in the right frame of mind to engage in a social interaction at that moment. You might even feel pressured to entertain them, despite your own needs. This creates an internal conflict. On one hand, you don't want to hurt their feelings, but on the other, you were in the middle of something that required your attention. This is why a simple call or message before visiting makes all the difference. It acknowledges the other person's space and gives them a chance to decide whether they're in the right headspace to meet. Respecting this boundary isn't about being overly formal. It's about valuing each other's time and emotional well-being. A quick, "Hey, are you free for a visit?" allows both parties to enter the interaction willingly and on the right note. As we navigate life beyond 60, it's essential to embrace this understanding. People's needs and lifestyles evolve over time, and friendships are healthiest when we adapt to these changes. Giving each other space doesn't mean we care any less. It actually strengthens our relationships by fostering mutual respect. It allows friendships to grow in a way that accommodates both people's needs rather than placing undue pressure on one another. Let's take the example of two lifelong friends, Jennifer and Kate. They had been inseparable for decades, supporting each other through life's ups and downs. However, as the years passed, their daily routines became more structured, and personal space became more important. Jennifer, who always loved spontaneous visits, would often stop by Kate's home unannounced, assuming it was a natural part of their friendship. While Kate appreciated the bond they shared, these surprise visits sometimes arrived at inconvenient times, when she was busy, tired, or simply in need of solitude. One afternoon, Jennifer decided to visit Kate without notice, thinking it would be a pleasant surprise. However, Kate was in the middle of an important project, and the unexpected visit disrupted her concentration. Although she welcomed Jennifer with a smile, she couldn't shake the feeling of being caught off guard. On the other hand, Jennifer sensed that something was off, and left feeling unsure if she had overstayed her welcome. What was meant to be a friendly visit ended up leaving both women feeling uneasy. Later, Jennifer reflected on the situation and realized that a quick call beforehand could have made all the difference. From then on, she made a habit of checking in before dropping by, ensuring that their visits were always enjoyable and mutually comfortable. Their friendship didn't change, but their approach to spending time together became more thoughtful and respectful. This simple shift in behavior can apply to all of us. When we take a moment to consider the other person's circumstances, we create a more positive environment for our relationships to flourish. Our friends and loved ones will appreciate our thoughtfulness, and our interactions will feel more meaningful and fulfilling as a result. As we continue on this journey, let's remember that maintaining strong connections isn't just about spending time together. It's about doing so in a way that respects each other's boundaries. True friendship isn't about constant presence. It's about understanding, patience, and consideration. By making small adjustments to the way we engage with those around us, we can ensure that our relationships remain warm, balanced, and mutually enriching. It would have made a world of difference if Kate had the time to prepare herself mentally and emotionally before their meeting. It would have ensured that their time together was not just another visit, but a meaningful, enjoyable experience for both. From that moment, Jennifer made a conscious decision. Before dropping by, she would always reach out first. It wasn't about creating distance. Rather, it was about ensuring their moments together were thoughtful and intentional. Now, Jennifer and Kate meet at their favorite cafe, a place free from the distractions of their daily routines. Here, they can sit back, enjoy a warm cup of coffee, and truly reconnect. Their conversations flow without the pressure of unexpected visits, making their time together richer and more fulfilling. This simple shift in approach has strengthened their bond in ways they hadn't imagined. If you're still with me and find these reflections meaningful, drop a comment below to let me know. The way we approach friendships is evolving, and learning to respect boundaries doesn't mean the bond weakens. Instead, it signifies maturity and understanding. We all have our own lives, responsibilities, and schedules, and that's perfectly fine. We don't need to be constantly present in each other's lives to maintain a deep connection. In fact, giving each other space allows our time together to be even more precious. Respecting boundaries is an act of kindness, a way of showing that we truly care about our friends' mental and emotional well-being. As we age, the need for solitude, privacy, and personal time becomes more apparent. It's not about being distant, but about valuing our energy and ensuring it is well spent. Peace becomes a priority, and personal space becomes essential for our well-being. So, next time you consider dropping by someone's home unannounced, pause for a moment. A simple text or call can make all the difference. It allows both of you to be mentally and emotionally prepared, creating a space for genuine and meaningful interaction. After all, the best moments with friends happen when both hearts and minds are open. It's not about how often you meet. It's about the quality of time spent together. If you're still watching and resonating with these reflections, let me know by commenting below. Your time is valuable, and I appreciate you sharing it with me. When it comes to family, visiting relatives often feels like a natural way to strengthen bonds. Family holds a special place in our hearts, and we grow up believing that the more time we spend with them, the closer we become. It's easy to picture warmth, connection, and the comfort of being surrounded by those who've known us forever. But as life unfolds, we begin to see that constant proximity doesn't always equate to deeper relationships. Initially, it seems simple. More time together should naturally lead to stronger bonds. But reality often paints a different picture. Sometimes, too much time with family can have unintended consequences. The very relationships that once brought comfort can, over time, lead to emotional exhaustion. The assumption that being around each other constantly will reinforce love and connection isn't always true. As we move through different stages in life, our relationships evolve, and so do our needs. What once felt like a source of security can become overwhelming, even suffocating. Many of us learn this the hard way, through experience. While family remains an integral part of our lives, it's crucial to recognize the importance of personal space. It's not about emotional or physical distance. It's about honoring each other's individual lives and ensuring that our time together is cherished rather than feeling like an obligation. Love isn't always about constant presence. It can be found in small, meaningful gestures, a thoughtful message, a short phone call, or simply a quiet acknowledgement that you are thinking of someone. Strong relationships don't require continuous reinforcement. They thrive on mutual understanding and respect for each other's space. Paul's story serves as a reminder of this reality. At 64, after decades of hard work, he finally retired. His identity had been so deeply tied to his career that when he stepped away, he found himself at a crossroads. With endless free time, he longed to reconnect with loved ones, believing that retirement would be filled with visits, shared laughter, and meaningful conversations. One afternoon, he decided to visit his longtime friend, Richard. With a box of homemade cookies in hand, he set off, expecting nothing more than a warm, nostalgic chat. Paul and Richard had shared years of memories, and this visit felt like a natural way to rekindle their bond. However, as soon as he arrived, he sensed a shift. Richard and his wife greeted him politely, but something felt different. The years had changed their lives, routines, and needs. Paul realized that unannounced visits might not be the best way to reconnect. Richard had his own daily rhythm, personal time, and expectations for how he spent his days. Paul wasn't unwelcome, but the visit wasn't as seamless as he had envisioned. It became clear that friendships and family relationships flourish best when they are built on mutual respect for space and time. This experience made Paul rethink his approach. Instead of assuming visits were always welcome, he started checking in first. He found that when plans were made intentionally, the time spent together was far more enjoyable. There was no tension, no sense of intrusion, just a genuine connection. The lesson here is simple. Relationships, whether with friends or family, thrive when we acknowledge and respect boundaries. It's not about visiting less. It's about making the moments we do share truly meaningful. When we recognize that personal space is essential, we create an environment where relationships can flourish naturally. Paul had envisioned a warm and joyful reunion, a heartfelt embrace that would rekindle the bond they once shared. However, as he stepped into Richard and Mary's home, an unspoken tension hung in the air, replacing the comfort he had imagined. There was a quiet discomfort that lingered just beneath the surface, something intangible yet undeniable. Hoping to lighten the mood, Paul offered a plate of cookies, a simple gesture to bridge the gap that seemed to have formed. Richard accepted with a polite chuckle, mentioning how much quieter their lives had become since retiring. His words, though casual, carried a hint of something deeper, perhaps an apology or an unspoken acknowledgement of the shift in their lifestyles. There was a subtle embarrassment in his tone, as if the slower pace of life they had chosen was something to be justified. In an attempt at humor, Richard made a passing remark about how their influence and power had faded over time. Paul laughed along, though he could sense that beneath the joke lay a quiet resignation. He reassured them that his visit was purely out of affection, not out of expectation or need. Yet the atmosphere remained strained. No matter how much he tried to ease the discomfort, it only seemed to grow heavier with each passing moment. The conversation felt forced, punctuated by awkward pauses and polite yet hollow exchanges. Paul attempted to engage in small talk, to revive the warmth that once defined their interactions, but the connection felt distant, almost unfamiliar. The tea they shared was lukewarm, and so too was the mood in the room. Every pause in the conversation seemed to stretch uncomfortably, filling the space with an invisible weight. As the visit neared its end, Mary walked Paul to the door. Her smile was polite, yet her farewell felt hurried, as if she was eager to return to the familiarity of their quiet routine. Paul stepped outside with a growing sense of unease. He had come with the intention of rekindling a bond, but instead, he felt as though he had inadvertently disrupted the sanctuary that Richard and Mary had carefully built for themselves in their retirement. Later, as he reflected on the visit, Paul realized that his well-meaning efforts had overlooked an essential truth. Relationships evolve, and with them, so do the needs and boundaries of those involved. In his eagerness to reconnect, he had failed to recognize that Richard and Mary had settled into a different stage of life, one where solitude and peace were not just preferred but necessary. His visit, though filled with good intentions, had felt like an intrusion rather than a welcome presence. This experience left Paul with a profound realization. Love and relationships are not solely measured by presence or proximity. True love is understanding when to step forward and when to step back, when to offer support and when to give space. It is about respecting the natural ebb and flow of connections, trusting that affection and mutual care endure even in the spaces between visits. As we navigate the journey of life, we must learn to cherish not just the moments spent together, but also the silent understanding that sometimes love is best expressed through distance. It is not about proving affection through constant engagement, but about recognizing the value of personal space and the beauty of quiet, unspoken bonds. Love thrives not on obligation, but on mutual understanding, patience, and trust. There is a lesson in knowing when to step back, not out of neglect, but out of respect for the evolving nature of relationships. Sometimes the most profound act of love is allowing others to live at their own pace, without the pressure of maintaining past expectations. If you've been watching this video and resonate with these insights, please comment 2 below to let me know you're still here with me. Your time and presence mean a lot. Family, especially siblings, often form the core of our early lives, a bond nurtured through shared experiences, childhood memories, and the comfort of having people who understand us at our most fundamental level. From a young age, we grow up believing that family is forever, that no matter how life changes, the ties we share will remain unbreakable. These relationships provide a sense of belonging, a safe haven amidst the chaos of the world. Family gatherings, laughter-filled evenings, and the knowledge that someone will always have your back create a foundation of security and love. However, as time moves forward, life introduces inevitable changes that can shift even the strongest of bonds. Consider the Martin siblings, a family of 5 who had once epitomized closeness. Their childhood home was a place of warmth, their family gatherings filled with joy and familiarity. Their parents' home served as the heart of their connection, a space where they always returned, no matter how far life took them. Sundays were spent together, holidays were celebrations of love and togetherness, and the bond they shared seemed unshakable. Yet, as the years passed, change crept in quietly. Their parents, once the glue holding them together, grew older, and eventually, life took its natural course. When they passed away, the home that had once been a beacon of connection lost its gravitational pull. The Martin siblings, now with families of their own, careers demanding their attention, and personal responsibilities, found that distance, both physical and emotional, began to settle in. At first, the decline in their gatherings was subtle. A missed Sunday lunch here, a postponed visit there, justifiable reasons such as work, health, or other commitments. But as time continued, those small delays accumulated, and the effortless closeness they once shared started to fade. The regular phone calls turned into occasional check-ins, and what was once an unspoken understanding of togetherness now required effort and scheduling. One day, a family friend who had known the Martins for years asked Greg, the eldest sibling, why their family no longer gathered as they once did. Greg hesitated, searching for an answer, but the truth was painfully simple. Life had moved forward, and so had they. The once frequent visits had turned into rare reunions, and the effortless bond of their younger years had transformed into something different, something that required conscious effort to maintain. Change is inevitable, and as much as we long to hold on to the past, life often has different plans. The relationships we cherish don't always remain the same, and sometimes, the best way to honor them is to recognize when it's time to let go of old expectations. Love within a family doesn't disappear, but it does evolve, and part of that evolution is understanding when to step back, when to allow each other to grow independently. True connection is not about frequent visits or constant reminders of affection. It is about knowing that the love remains, even in the spaces between conversations and meetings. It's about trusting that the foundation built over years of togetherness will endure, even as life takes each person in a different direction. Greg had always been the one who took the initiative in bringing the family together. He was the one who made sure everyone stayed connected, the unspoken thread holding the fabric of their relationships intact. But when asked about a family gathering, his response was unexpectedly cold, almost indifferent. We only gathered because our parents were there. Now, it doesn't really make sense. If I have time, I'd rather spend it with my own family. Hearing that can feel like a slap in the face, a harsh reality that forces you to question the very nature of family ties. It stings, and yet, there's an undeniable truth in his words. It's a reality that many families face as time moves forward. When the central figures, the parents, are no longer there to bridge the gap, the once vibrant gatherings may start to fade. Those regular Sunday dinners, the effortless moments of laughter, the shared traditions that once felt like the backbone of family life gradually slip away. As people grow older, responsibilities shift. Careers, marriages, children, personal challenges, they all demand attention. Priorities realign, and the bonds that once felt unbreakable now require effort to sustain. It's not necessarily a loss, but an evolution, a natural progression of life. The effortless closeness that once defined family relationships now demands conscious nurturing. This transition can be difficult. Visiting siblings without a particular reason or showing up without an invitation might no longer be welcomed with the same enthusiasm. It's not about a lack of love or respect, but a shift in dynamics. Life becomes more structured, and unexpected visits can sometimes feel intrusive rather than heartwarming. For some, the expectation of hosting or entertaining can create an unspoken pressure. The ease of dropping by unannounced fades as people establish boundaries within their personal spaces. The warmth of sibling bonds remains, but the frequency of interactions might dwindle. The challenge is in understanding that relationships do not necessarily weaken with fewer visits. They simply take a different form. Love doesn't have to be measured in constant interaction. Sometimes the most profound expression of love is giving each other the space to grow. Letting go of the belief that love requires physical proximity allows relationships to evolve naturally. It isn't about distancing oneself. It's about respecting individual paths and acknowledging that connection isn't solely defined by time spent together. The love remains, even if the ways in which it is expressed change. Similarly, visiting someone's home is more than just a social call. It is an intimate experience that offers insight into their world, their habits, and their emotional state. A home is not merely a shelter. It is a reflection of one's inner self, a sanctuary shaped by personal needs and preferences. As people age, they become more attuned to their surroundings, seeking a sense of peace and order. The importance of a well-maintained, harmonious space becomes more apparent, providing a retreat from the chaos of the outside world. With time, the need for tranquility within the home grows stronger. What may once have seemed trivial, the arrangement of furniture, the organization of belongings, the ambiance of a room, becomes vital to one's well-being. The home becomes a carefully curated space where one finds solace and balance. It is a domain where control can be exercised, where the external world's unpredictability does not intrude. For some, maintaining an orderly home isn't just about tidiness, it's about mental clarity. Take Ryan, for instance. He values an immaculately arranged space, not out of superficial preference, but as a necessity for his peace of mind. Every item has a designated place, every surface is meticulously maintained, and his environment exudes a sense of calm. His home is not just a structure, but an extension of his inner world, a haven where he can retreat and feel at ease. To an outsider, Ryan's home might seem excessively meticulous, but for him, it is a sanctuary. The order he has cultivated provides a sense of stability and comfort, shielding him from the outside world's unpredictability. Entering his home feels like stepping into a space of deliberate harmony, where every detail has been carefully considered to foster peace. It is not about impressing visitors, but about maintaining an environment that aligns with his emotional well-being. When visiting someone with such a perspective, it is important to recognize the significance they place on their space. Their home is not just a place for socializing, but a carefully maintained refuge. Respecting this means understanding that unplanned visits might disrupt their sense of order. It is not a matter of hospitality or warmth, but of personal comfort. Some people recharge in solitude, finding peace in the familiarity of their carefully arranged surroundings. Being mindful of these dynamics can strengthen relationships rather than strain them. Just as love between siblings doesn't have to be proven through constant visits, respect for someone's home doesn't require frequent presence. Relationships thrive when they accommodate the evolving needs of individuals, allowing love and connection to exist in ways that feel natural and sustainable. Ultimately, understanding and embracing these changes can lead to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. It is not about clinging to old patterns, but about adapting to new ones with grace. Whether it is recognizing the shift in family dynamics or respecting the sanctity of someone's personal space, true connection lies in honoring one another's needs. Love, after all, is not about proximity, but about understanding and respect.